Kena Bridge of Spirits was first shown at the PlayStation Showcase, and it quickly jumped onto many people's watch list. But after a few delays, the game is finally here, and Ember Labs have put together something pretty special for their first game. So there's clear inspirations from The Legend of Zelda, and this action-adventure game has got me excited for what Ember Labs may produce in the future. So at the heart of the game, Kena Bridge of Spirits is an action-adventure, and there's puzzles and you've got boss battles as well. So at times, it does feel like a throwback to a PlayStation 3 era-style game, given it's not really open world, it's more of a series of set pieces and corridors through levels. However, there is a high level of polish here, and I think it is good enough to check out. The first thing that hits you is the striking beauty of Kena Bridge of Spirits. It's a really good looking game, most likely rooted in Ember Labs' past as a 3D animation house. And I have mentioned Legend of Zelda already as an inspiration, and Ember Labs went as far to create a fan film based on Majora's Mask called Terrible Fate. If you haven't seen it before, you should definitely check it out, it's really good. So since Ember Labs have gone on a journey to make Kena Bridge of Spirits, and their first game is a decent start on PlayStation 5 and PC. Regarding the story in the game, Kena is a spirit guide who helps spirits move on to the next life. They either have trouble moving on because of some guilt or some unfinished business in the world, and Kena is your main protagonist, and we work our way through the lush environments under siege from a mysterious corruption, and we have to make our way through to the Sacred Mountain Shrine. Along the way we meet kids and helpful NPCs who tell stories about the world, plus you've got puzzles to solve and spirits to guide, as well as bosses to battle. The story can feel a little bit thin, as we don't really find out too much about Kena, her motivations or who she is. So it would have been nice for the character to be fleshed out just a little bit more, as it appears as if much of the development has gone into the graphical fidelity of the game and the mechanics. As I mentioned, the game is absolutely beautiful, and the character designs are like something out of a Pixar movie, but what this game really needs is a fleshed out story. And it's all very much surface level, and when you scratch under that surface, it is a little bit shallow regarding the story. It's understandable, considering this is the first game from Ember Labs. The team clearly loves the Zelda franchise, and the gameplay harks back to games like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, so it is fairly linear with a zone that you've got to explore, items to collect, and then a few battles to be had along the way. Although the game functions in a throwback manner, that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable at all. The environments are stunning, the combat difficulty ramps up sufficiently as you progress, and really, the bosses in this game are absolutely no joke. This isn't Disney's Dark Souls by any means, but there is a challenge in here for sure. So there's a formula to Kena Bridge of Spirits, so you'll come across a lead for a new spirit, explore an area, battle various enemies, and then face off against a spirit in an effort to get them move on into the afterlife. And as you make your way through an area, you're going to learn more about the spirit's subject, understand why they're stuck, and also what troubles they have, before coercing them off into the afterlife with your weapons. Talking of the weapons, combat in Kena Bridge of Spirits is pretty good fun. It's fast, it's challenging, and also pretty straightforward. You've got your standard light attack, your heavy attack, there's dodge combinations, and also then a few hours into the game, you're going to unlock a bow, and that certainly makes things much easier, as you can attack at range. It's all just pretty straightforward, and it is good for new players, and perhaps this game is aimed at a younger demographic, given the graphical look and feel, but there isn't really much beyond what I've described, meaning there's not really much depth to the combat. This certainly isn't Horizon Zero Dawn, and that is somewhat of a minus point for the game. But looking on the positive side, it's quick to pick up and play, but beyond that, there isn't really much complexity or variety in the combat. Well, early on in the game, you're going to meet the Rot. These are tiny, cute little creatures that you collect as you progress, similar to finding Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. So, however, these cute little guys have much more of a purpose than simply little collectibles. You can control and direct the Rot. For example, you'll be directing them around to cleanse the environment of corruption, as well as move items. You can either launch them at enemies or spirits and cause some pretty good damage, and each area has a bunch of Rot to find and collect, and you can even buy them little hats. Hand in hand with combat is resource management, so as you fight you're going to build up courage, and that is needed to attack enemies with the Rot. So this is also needed to cleanse the surrounding area, so you need to be smart as to when you use it or not. So if you do run out, not to worry too much, simply attack enemies to replenish your stocks, and it does make for some interesting tactical decisions. However, as you can often have to choose between using your resources to fight or using them to replenish your health. So as you progress through the game, there's upgrade paths for your movement abilities. For example, Kenna gets a dash attack, a stronger melee attack, and also a parry reply attack. However, they don't really reward you for the time and effort that you put in upgrading Kenna in the first place. So in certain situations, they're quite useful, but given the time required to upgrade Kenna, these abilities should feel a little bit stronger in my opinion. There's also the weapon upgrades too, and include a very useful charged bow shot and the ability to activate slow motion, which makes taking out tough enemies much easier than at the real-time speed. So movement abilities are a little bit meh, but the weapon ability upgrades, they're well worth the investment. So then you got the boss battles. They are particularly good and, might I say, quite challenging too. So each boss feels like its own set piece, and it doesn't feel like the mechanics have been reused, and each one feels unique and rather satisfying. Complementing the combat are the other parts of the gameplay loop as well, namely the exploring, the platforming and the puzzle solving. So this is one of the more delightful elements of Kenna Bridge of Spirits. The platforming feels pretty good, exploration is satisfying, especially in a world as beautiful as this one. And the puzzles aren't too tricky, they tend to be kind of environmental puzzles where you're locked off from proceeding, and you may have to engage with a rock to move something around or climb up to a new area, or maybe press down a switch or some kind of activity similar to that. So if you played games like Zelda before, then you're going to be really comfortable with the puzzles in Kenna Bridge of Spirits. You know, the puzzles are good fun, and also there's plenty of secrets to find, hidden away in little hidey holes, so keep your eyes peeled when you are exploring. So I was really excited about Kenna Bridge of Spirits, given its luscious introduction at the PlayStation Showcase in 2020. You know, it's hard to believe this is the first effort from Ember Labs, so there are a few drawbacks to the game in regards to the combat and the mid-2000s feel to the game. However, I do think this is a great effort from an indie team, and it also makes me really excited for what they're going to do next. It is a gorgeous looking game hands down, plus it's an ambitious new IP. In a time where we are surrounded by remakes and sequels, you know, hats off to the development team for creating a new story and a new world, and I'd recommend seeking it out, and if you enjoy single-player action-adventure games, this one could be for you. So the game was developed and published by Ember Labs. It's available for PS5 and PC via the Epic Game Store, and it was originally released on the 24th of September 2021. Well, that is it for my review of Kenna Bridge of Spirits. You know, there's ups and downs in that game, but overall I think I would recommend it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.
Hi.
The rats seem quite fond of you. They're usually timid. Something tells me you did not come to our village looking for forest creatures.
Hello, Spirit. I seek passage to the Sacred Mountain Shrine.
Our village is bound to the shrine's energy. But that power faded long ago. Trapped spirits linger here, tangled in the tragedies of our past. You must help these spirits if you wish to reach the mountain shrine.
It's okay. You have to go now. You cannot stay here, Spirit. You must move on.
The path of a spirit guide is a lonely one.
PlayStation